Dumbass me, Kevin Smith, the annoying voice of podcasting, and you're listening to the non-annoying Three Guys in a Flick.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Can you come up with a single memory? You can't, can you? You know something? I don't think the sun even exists in this place. Because I've been up for hours and hours and hours, and the night never ends here.
Three guys and a flick with Don, Ken, and John. Dive into the movies well after the dawn. From the good to the bad to the wildly absurd. They give a fuck about films. Their voices are heard.
Welcome back. You are listening to Three Guys in a Flick. This is where we review the good, the bad, and the absurd. Tonight's episode, Dark City. Beware spoilers. Coming to you from somewhere in the Dark City, my name is Don. And to my right, we have the comic book guy, John.
How are you doing tonight?
I am doing well.
That is not how you do it at all.
That isn't. And to my left, this is the Professor Ken.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, so yeah,
That's a lot better.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Hey, how the fuck did we get here? And why are we all sitting in this bathtub?
Who's blowing that bubbles?
I cannot confirm nor deny, but
I can't reach a towel. Close your eyes.
yes. You're going to talk now, yes?
Yes.
Sleep now. All right. Tonight we are talking about Dark City. Dark City comes to us from the Bronco helmet from one of our listeners, Ben C. So this one is for you. Released on February 27th, 1998, Dark City was directed by Alex Proyas. Screenplay by Alex Proyas, Lem Dobbs, and David S. Goyer.
Story by
Alex Proyas. And it stars Rufus Sewell, Kiefer Sutherland, Jennifer Connelly, Richard O'Brien, Ian Richardson, William Hurt, and a bunch of other strangers.
How'd this movie do, Don?
This movie was made for $27 million and brought in $27.2 million.
So it barely broke even.
And I don't even know if you can consider that even after marketing and getting the word out there for the film. I mean, if anything, I'm pretty sure this was a flop back in 98.
Well, do you know what it was up against in the same month?
Titanic?
Yep.
Yeah.
Titanic and Big Lebowski both came out the same month.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Dark City was my pick, and I drew it out of the Bronco helmet. Comic book guy, have you ever seen Dark City?
I have seen it quite a few times.
Did you see it in 98 when it came out in the theater?
I did not see it in the theater, I don't believe, but I have seen it. In fact, I think I saw Matrix first and then saw this movie, and I thought this movie was a complete ripoff of Matrix, only to find out it came out right before Matrix.
Yeah. What about you? Had you seen it?
No, I popped my cherry on it for this viewing.
Oh, did you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. How was it?
I am going to get into that.
Oh, right. I fucking can't wait.
How
What
about
about
you,
you?
Don?
Yeah, tell us, Don.
I thought I had seen it, but it turns out I was thinking of The Matrix. So, no, actually, I hadn't seen it. And I, like you, Professor, popped my cherry with it last night as well.
Were you guys familiar with the director, Alex Proyas?
No, I didn't know him from Jack Squat.
I had heard of him before only because I love the movie The Crow so much that he actually directed that movie. And he took the same elements, the dark gothic vibe, with some kind, supernatural flavor, and threw it into this movie.
You mean The Crow, the very first podcast we ever released?
That is it.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure, because the way you were talking about it's like we had never heard of it before.
Yeah.
So I had to question your thinking and logic there.
Well, I was just showing that there's elements from that. In fact, he came up with the idea for Dark City while he was filming The Crow.
Oh, well, there you go.
Now I'm mildly curious to go back and listen to that episode, The Crow.
One word. Painful.
That's what I'm sort of wondering about.
Yeah. I like The Crow, and Alex goes on to do iRobot, The Knowing, and Gods of Egypt. So, I mean, he's gotten out there a little bit.
And speaking of, him being one of the writers of this, David Goyer, he's done a few movies that we've enjoyed.
David Goyer's been all over the place. He's really big in the superhero world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I know him from. And yeah, I mean, the story is good. I mean, Goyer didn't come up with the story. He came in for the script, obviously, right? But as I was watching it last night regarding the writing, I couldn't help but think either the Wachowski siblings or Proyas ripped each other off. And hear tell that both scripts were kind of written at the same time. There was just too many coincidences for me that it just blared me in the face the whole time. And after watching it, unfortunately, all I could come up with is The Matrix did it better. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Dante's Peak versus Volcano.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Armageddon and Deep Impact, Tombstone, Wyatt Earp, Dark City, The Matrix.
Absolutely.
Turner and Hooch and K9.
Turner and Hooch and K9.
Same.
Well,
Yeah, I love it.
Alex was going for a vibe of if you took the Maltese Falcon, so that detective noir kind of feel, but threw in aliens and supernatural powers.
Yeah, no, I mean, the style was okay. It looked very 90s and the effects were dated, but as far as visually and the concept and the idea of the story, I really liked. I just didn't think the execution was all that great.
What'd you think of the film style? I mean, he was going for, first of all, putting elements in from all different time periods was supposed to kind of create an unease, and the fact that it jumps around so much. Like the average clip, the actual average film clip is about 1.8 seconds before they move to the next clip.
Oh, I heard it was at least 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's about 2 seconds.
So,
That's a lot of cutting.
it is a lot of cutting. And I mean, the style right off the bat reminded me of Tim Burton's Batman.
Mhm.
So I had that in the back of my head. And it looked a lot like The Crow, very dark. You can't see anything that's going on. And I applaud them for what they were trying to do. And I thought the style was fine.
Did it create that unease that he was going for?
No, not really.
How about you, Professor? Did feel anything?
I didn't feel unease, but I understood that it's called Dark City, which means that this movie is going to be set at night all the time, and sure enough, it was. And I didn't think that it was going to be. I didn't think that it was going to be as muddled as it was. The story was the whole first act for me was just. What the hell? I'm trying to make sense of this, and how am I supposed to get behind the protagonist on this? It's just cumbersome.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, I want to just throw out there, I know you two both watched the theatrical versions. I watched the director's version, which I think for anybody out there who's listening, watch the director's version because it doesn't start with the narration, because the narration gives away a lot of the plot, a lot of the story, a lot of the mystery elements that the director wanted to build up to. He wanted you to be as confused as, John right at the beginning of the movie in that bathtub. He wanted you to have no memory, not knowing anything going on, and learn it as he learned it. And I think that actually builds the story, makes it a little bit better of a movie, a little more enjoyment.
Well, thank God I watched the theatrical version, because having that narration at the beginning was a lifeline for me to help understand where the hell the story is supposed to be going.
And there you have it, folks. The director side, comic book guy, and the studio executive side, the professor. And I will just chime in the middle here and say, I got everything that I needed to get in this cut. I think that watching it this late in the game for the first time, I'm already kind of spoiled by other films that had very similar premises.
Choir.
So I knew exactly where we were going. But as far as the film itself, I think it has a very coherent beginning, middle, and end. And for me, I don't need to watch the director's cut. Will I? Maybe one day, but not anytime soon.
What'd you think of the cast?
The cast tried with what they had. And let's talk about Rufus.
I didn't know him from anything.
I knew his face, and I knew he was the villain. And so he does Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, the illusionist, and he's the villain in The Legend of Zorro.
He
And
plays a lot of villains in movies.
yeah. And in this, I mean, I don't mean any disrespect to the guy, but he just didn't fit this character. I thought that he way overacted on a lot of things. And I don't know. I think he was cast more for his looks than anything.
Well, actually, Alex picked him because he was relatively an unknown. He hadn't done any big feature films, and he really wanted somebody that the audience could watch and not go in it with any preconceptions about that character. He wanted people not to know if he's a good guy or bad guy in the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, it took until the third act before I finally started to get behind him. Before that, it's just like, why should I care about him?
Yeah, I don't know if I got behind him at all during the movie at all. So, there's that.
Then you have Kiefer Sutherland as the mad scientist. What did you think of him in this movie?
I thought he was kind of like his David from The Lost Boys, who had a stroke. So, I don't know what was up with that voice, but I mean, I think Kiefer Sutherland is a delight, so I went with it.
For me, I know he was told to try to create this mad scientist type character from like the 50s and the 60s, but it almost felt like a guy with no acting experience just reading the script as he went.
Oh, I can see that for sure. What about you?
I found the excessive breathing to be a distraction, and I found it in general inside my head. I'm saying that this is pretty amateurish.
Yeah.
So it missed the mark for me for having him do that.
I love Kiefer Sutherland. I like him in a lot of the things that he's been in. For me, this was a kind of a miss. I felt like they miscast it. Like they should have had someone else play that role. He just didn't fit the role.
I don't know if he didn't fit the role, but I think if they had him play it differently, it could have been something. Because he is a great actor. And to be fair, I think he's just doing what the director told him to do.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And his character should feel definitely tormented because he is living a life of anguish, betraying the human race, if you will, right? But he seems to be almost not excited about it, but he certainly has moments where he is very pleased with himself.
Yeah.
And so at first he's the antagonist, and eventually he doesn't become the antagonist, but still, his character is not played the way I think it should be played.
Yeah, agreed. What'd you think of Jennifer Connelly?
Is it wrong to say yummy?
No, because I thought the same thing.
I'm just always a fan. Like, I can't think of a movie that she's been in that I haven't liked her.
She's a tall drink of water.
She is. The only thing is, I didn't feel like she had a lot to do here, and she was just kind of on the side.
Yeah, she was like window dressing.
Yeah, a little bit. And it felt like that in certain parts. So, I mean, I thought she did fine, and I'll watch Jennifer Connelly in almost anything.
I thought it was interesting that in the theatrical cut, they dubbed over her singing voice. But if you go to the director's cut, you actually get to hear her singing voice. While it's not amazing or fantastic, I thought she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, you thought she did a pretty good job, but the studio execs were like, "What the fuck are you thinking?"
Yeah, she didn't
So
sound
of course it gets dubbed.
Yeah, she didn't sound like a stage performer when she was singing on that stage.
Yeah. And then let's get to what I call the delight of the film.
Richard O'Brien?
No.
William Hurt.
William Hurt.
He's shown in this. He was the one bright star.
I feel like he came to work.
Yes.
Right? And I like the way he played his character. I'm not a big fan of the outcome, but we'll get there. And no, I thought he was a delight.
Going back, Richard O'Brien, do you know where we know him from?
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
He was also in Flash Gordon, a movie we reviewed.
Yeah.
He's also in the movie Ever After. He's been in little things here and there, but he'll always be known for Rocky Horror Picture Show.
So
he was also in Spice World.
All right, so help me out here. Who is he in Dark City?
He is the guy, Mr. Hand. Mr. Hand, who gets the memories.
He's our primary antagonist.
Mr. Book.
Mr. Book is the leader,
right,
of the strangers.
Oh, he's Mr. Hand.
The one that murders the...
Yeah. He's the one that takes on, what's his name's brain?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Mr. Hand.
Yes. And then his name is never mentioned, but there's also Mr. Wall. And if you look at his face, you can see it if you look for it. He's the gyro captain from Road Warrior.
Oh, I knew that instantly. That's Bruce Spence.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, you know, I see his name in the credits. I'm like, okay. Anyone else in this cast jump out at you?
I don't know the name of the actor, but the freaking little kid, who I guess was played by twins, that was a creepy ass kid.
He was a creepy ass kid. What did you think of the stranger's design?
Matrix. As a matter of fact, that's what I have in my notes. Matrix.
What about you?
For me, I had forgotten that the aliens had taken over dead human bodies because I kept thinking, why do they look so human? Why are they kind of white and pasty? But I guess it makes kind of sense since they're supposed to be inhabiting dead bodies.
So does that mean you liked them?
I thought they were okay, but different.
It reminded me of Pinhead. It's
A little, yeah. Without the pins.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Book has this thing in front of his chin. Looks like fucking Anakin Skywalker from Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
When he takes off the helmet.
So this movie is a little bit Matrixy and a little bit Hellraiser-ish.
A little bit. Mostly Matrixy, though. Somebody ripped off fucking somebody. I'm telling you. The coincidences are just too on the nose. What did you guys think of the score?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at, too. I didn't really care for it.
Yeah, it did not propel me to feel anything in particular that the musical cues are there to say the tension is rising, and I get that, but for the most part, it just didn't deliver.
Agreed.
Yeah, Trevor Jones, I believe, was the name of the person that did the music. He did music for The Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Time Bandits, Angel Heart, Last of the Mohicans, those kind of movies. And you're absolutely right. It didn't jump out and grab me like some of the other movies we've watched recently.
Yeah.
You can't go from Hans Zimmer to Trevor Jones.
That's a tall order, man. That's a tall ask. So,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Are you suggesting that we should do some trivia questions?
I think it's trivia time. Yes.
Well, then, I think that I have some trivia questions for all of you.
Is it wrong that that's turning me on?
No, because I'm kind of right there with you.
Got a little chub.
Ew.
Question number 1. After Emma tells John to run from Bermstead, and the two run down the staircase, John creates a door to run through. What color is the door?
Don.
John.
Ooh. Don?
Green.
Green. Dark green. That is correct.
Thank you.
Question number 2. What is the name of the business establishment that has green glowing eyes that Murdoch breaks into?
John. Neptune's Kingdom.
Correct. While in the rowboat, Dr. Schreiber mentions the name that he has given the aliens. What is the name he gives?
John.
Ty.
1, 2, 3.
The Strangers.
Ty. Question number 4. When we are first introduced to John Murdoch, where do we find him?
Don.
John. Fuck.
In a bathtub.
Correct.
What color was the bathwater?
Gray,
It
greenish,
was like purple.
purple.
I kept wondering, what the fuck was he doing in that bathtub?
The first shot was purple, sort of a lavender. And question number 5. When do we first see Murdoch using his ability to tune?
Don. When he creates the door. No, I'm sorry. When he's on the scaffold and he's
scaffolding.
fighting with the people.
No.
Oh.
Oh.
When he's running from the cops
No.
in the beginning?
Well, what's the fucking answer?
He is at the automat and he retrieves his wallet and the police officers walk in.
Oh, that's fucking right. He does do that before anything that we said.
And so this week's winner is Don. Congratulations.
Just by a short and curly. Yes?
It's because you tuned me.
Oh, I can tune you, baby. I can tune you. John Murdoch awakens in a hotel bathtub, disoriented and suffering from amnesia. He receives a call from Dr. Daniel Schreiber, who urges him to flee the hotel to avoid a group of men pursuing him. In the room, Murdoch discovers the body of a murdered woman and a bloody knife. He escapes just before a group of pale, trenchcoat-wearing men known as the Strangers arrive. Police Inspector Frank Bumstead investigates a series of prostitute murders, identifies Murdoch as a prime suspect. As Murdoch searches for clues about his identity, he learns his name and that he has a wife named Emma. When the strangers corner him, Murdoch instinctively uses a mysterious power, later revealed to be called tuning, to warp reality and escape. So this movie opens with a narration.
Thank goodness.
And they are spoon-feeding us what's going on. And so already we know that they're aliens, which that's fine. I'll take that.
Now, we don't necessarily know the aliens when we see them immediately, but pretty quick.
I think you also, if I recall, you don't know that you're not on Earth. Is that correct?
That's a safe bet.
Sure.
But I do want to point out how many of us have not woken up in a bathtub at some point without any memories of the night before.
I can only think of a handful of times myself.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good for me.
I can easily count on one hand.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Mine was the shower.
That's weird. Wait, I think I remember that.
Were you there?
I can't remember.
Wait, what night was that? Wait, it was, I
Sleep.
can't remember either.
Sleep. And so,
We're introduced to Dr. Schreiber, and he's helping the strangers conducting their experiments and such. And we watch as time comes to a standstill, and everyone but the doctor is unconscious. And this is pretty freaking creepy, weird.
I just keep wondering that, like, when everybody falls asleep, some people either fall out of their cars, or in one case, they fall into their soup. When they wake up, how do they explain the fact that they just fell asleep or woke up on the floor?
Yeah, I have no idea. It was one of those questions I had kind of throughout this whole thing, right? Because we meet John. He's in the fucking bathtub, freaking out.
There's a dead body off to the side.
That's a cool camera shot, too, as we close in on the hotel.
Yeah. And as soon as I saw the scenery and the buildings and all that, I thought, okay, The Crow and Batman, right? So I kind of knew what to expect. But I also said to myself, wow, the CGI doesn't really hold up. And it was very distracting for me throughout this entire film.
You know, and that's a shortcoming that we first-time viewers have in a situation like this, because at the time this comes out, I am sure that it looks extremely sexy. But for us, looking at it 25 years later, yeah, okay. But yeah, it's a little distracting, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible. So, like, for example, looking at the city streets with the cars, that was all practical. They put all that together. The director, he was scared. He didn't want to have it because he didn't want to have it be miniatures, because he thought that's too easy to fuck that up and have everybody go, oh, that's not real.
Sure.
So, you know, there were several practical shots in this, and, you know, it's still, you know, it's easier to look at it because it's all dark, but it's still, yeah, it does look dated.
Yeah. And so John gets dressed, and then he slips and falls, and he breaks the fishbowl, right?
Yes.
He breaks the fishbowl, but the whole point of him saving the fish was supposed to be kind of a hint to us, foreshadowing this is a good guy, because a bad guy wouldn't take the time to save a fish.
Yeah, well, and William Hurt's character calls that out later.
Mm-hmm.
And
The phone rings.
And immediately I'm thinking, is that Cypher? Is that Trinity on the other
Are we
line?
going to get the modem sound?
Yeah, is it Morpheus?
Operator.
And no, it's Kiefer Sutherland. And he's telling Murdoch, someone's coming for you.
And you got to get out of there right now.
And so he nonchalantly makes his way out while the men in the hats kind of make their way in. And when Murdoch gets downstairs
to the lobby, and then the guy at the front desk, you've been here 3 weeks.
And your 3 weeks were up 10 minutes ago. And so Murdoch's like, I was here for fucking 3 weeks. And Murdoch has no memory about where he is, who he is, what the fuck is going on. He just knows that he woke up, put on his clothes, got a weird phone call, left the hotel, and was told that he's been in his room for 3 weeks.
One of the things that Alex was trying to portray in this movie was the idea called last Thursdayism. Have you ever heard of this?
Uh-uh.
It's the idea of how do you know for sure that the world wasn't just created last Thursday and every memory that you have in your head has been implanted in there to make you think that you've been alive all this time, but really you just started last week. So it's supposed to make you question that idea, in your head.
Did you question it?
No, but I understand where he's going from. It's kind of thought-provoking.
Dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard.
So the landlord guy, he heads upstairs, and this is where we get to meet our antagonists. They're in the room. Sleep now.
And he goes to sleep.
And now we cut to Emma. We meet Emma Murdoch, and she's looking oh so beautiful as she sings her sultry little song.
And we find out that John's been missing.
Well, she goes to Dr. Schreiber, and I don't recall specifically. She has a business card of his.
Because after she's done singing, someone tells her, oh, some guy came in and left you this card.
Right.
And so now she goes to talk to Dr. Schreiber, and Dr. Schreiber's like,
he's had a psychotic break, and we need to find him.
So if you hear from him, let me know.
Cut to, we meet Inspector Dumstead.
And they are investigating a homicide, and they're in the crime scene, and he's kind of looking around, and then they notice the fish in the bathtub.
Right.
And he ponders.
Yeah, as he should.
What kind of killer saves a fish, right? So, like you were saying, John, it's definitely telling us, the audience, oh, maybe this guy isn't so bad after all.
And did you catch, right even from the beginning, all the spirals in the movie?
Oh, yeah.
It's supposed to represent the kind of the looping effect and that everything seems unfinished.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I got that right away.
Right after this, after they're reacting to the crime scene, we have Murdoch, and he's walking along, and I don't know what this was, but it looks strange that there's this truck, and it's turning right as he's walked past him, and the truck has like nothing behind the cab window, like nothing. It's like the front of a truck and then nothing, and it's just like, that looked really weird. I wonder what that was. But, maybe it's just one of those trucks that, would pull a trailer and they just didn't have the wheels in the shot. But it just looked really weird. And it was just this momentary passing shot. It's just like, huh. Went back, rewound, watched it again.
Oh, I missed that.
That looks
by
weird.
a mile.
That looks weird.
One of the things when I watched this movie, Julie started watching it with me, and she was playing on her phone and everything. And I told her to look up and watch the quick shots that they were doing, the quick cuts. She watched it for probably about 5 seconds before she went, nope, and looked back down.
Yeah, shocker.
She was out.
And so before Murdoch left, he was told that
his wallet was at the automat.
And so that's where he's off to next. And we also get a bit of him looking at himself in the mirror, and he knows his first initial is J, but he comes up with Jeff, Jack, everything but fucking John.
Yep.
And when he gets to the automat, he sees his wallet.
The guy.
Oh, no. The guy says,
Yeah.
Here's your fucking wallet.
What kind of dick move is it to have it behind the window so he has to pay to get his own wallet?
You call it a dick move. I call it entrepreneurial.
Okay.
So there you go.
I'm totally down with that. The fact that the guy did that. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm thinking his money's in the wallet.
Well, maybe, but I mean, it looked like coins, right? Do you keep coins in your wallet?
Some, yeah, sometimes. If you have a coin purse.
A couple of coppers walk in, and he gets really anxious.
But he's got to get his wallet, right? Got to get his wallet. And this is our first glimpse of
tuning.
And I got to say, I appreciate the idea. I appreciate what they were trying to do. But when the little squiggles come out of his fucking head and we see it, I kind of just rolled my eyes. I was like, God damn it. Really? You don't have to show us, guys.
No, you don't.
So I particularly didn't care for the effect of that. So, but that's just me.
Yeah. How would you have done it?
Just musical score
and the concentration and the look on the face.
Have him use the force.
Well, he used the force anyway. So
I just thought having those waves showing, it was not to be draconian, but it was juvenile.
I mean, I didn't even like it when they did it with Professor X. So,
sure. Yeah.
But that's just me. Anyway, he gets his wallet and he finds out that his name is, in fact, John. And he wants to leave the automat.
He tries to nonchalantly.
and the cops start fucking with him. And then in walks a prostitute, and she's like, "Hey, honey, come with me."
Yeah, leave him alone.
And they leave. And then we go up to the prostitute's apartment, and
Her name is May.
Thank you. And so we go up to May's apartment, and we get a gratuitous shot of boobs.
Boobs.
And I thought to myself, well, it's looking at those boobs. I bet you John is happy.
You were probably thinking the movie's looking up now.
Both the comic book guy and the John in the movie.
Did it just go up a 0.5 for you?
No, but we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
We cut to Walensky, and what we have is he's kind of sort of gone off the deep end. You know, I thought that the chaos of his office. It's like, okay, you are clearly cuckoo.
Yeah, and everybody's telling Bumblestead that your partner or this guy, this detective, he's fucking losing it. He's crazy. And William Hurt's like, that fucking sucks, because I like the guy.
One of the interesting things to do, and I know you're not eager to rewatch this movie, but knowing everything that you know now from seeing the movie, go back and watch that scene of all the things around his office, and they all make 100%, like, they make sense. They tell the whole story.
Emma, she shows up at the police precinct, and she's asking for Bumstead, and she wants to know, why are you looking for my husband?
And he kind of tells her in a nonchalant way that your husband is kind of wanted for murder. And he gives her a list of the names, and she's like, which one? And he's like,
all of them.
All of them? So she gets up, runs out, and he's like, look, I'm sorry. It's the only way I know how to tell you. We got to find this guy. Help us out. Right?
Mm-hmm. And then we cut to John, and he is leaving May's place. And he has a postcard, Shell Beach.
And throughout this movie, we kind of get flashbacks. And it's of a beach. And for me, immediately I started thinking The Truman Show.
Yes, very much so.
But I don't know which one came out first. So there you go. But either way, again, watching this movie so late in life, I have all these other movies in my head. Yeah, so we're starting, they're trying to tell us, the audience, that this guy's background may be at Shell Beach.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And Mr. Hand and company show up, and this is where he's up on the skywalk, and we have the lady with her arm waving, that billboard. And then we have the creaky board.
What did you think of this whole scene?
I don't know. It was okay. I understand why it was there. It was to give us tension that the antagonists are closing in, but through a happy coincidence, the gangplank, the boards give way, and so now he potentially has a way of escaping.
Yeah. What about you?
It's basically the classic detective noir idea of, our hero is being chased by the good guys and the bad guys. So he's caught in the middle of something going on. And yeah, it builds tension. And here we have our first really introduction to these alien creatures.
And there's one other thing that happens as well. Mr. Hand, he tells John, sleep now. And he doesn't. And Mr. Hand is befuddled by that.
Every time you heard the name Mr. Hand, did it take you to Fast Times at Ridgemont High? I kept hearing Spicoli every time.
Well, Mr. Hand, if you're here and I'm here, doesn't that make it our time? And certainly there's nothing wrong with a little feast on our time.
And then another reveal that happens is that the Matrix people realizes that Murdoch can tune.
Whoa.
We also get the clip that cuts off the back of one of the stranger's heads.
I thought that was a pretty good effect. There's a nice little chunky
coming out,
chunky shit on it. And then the transparent creature that comes out reminded me of the face hugger. And
I thought of Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. The face hugger / sentinel. Yeah, very much reminiscent. And we, the audience, are kind of told, we're dealing with fucking aliens.
And then the next scene is we have all the Matrix people together, and they're having a meeting, and they're talking about Murdoch.
Is this in their big underground dome place?
Yes.
The clock place.
And this is where they show us what they do when it's time to tune. Did you notice that when they start tuning and doing whatever it is they're doing, their teeth start chattering?
Yes, I did notice that. And I kept thinking Hellraiser because they have a chattering teeth guy.
Oh, yeah, they do. That's right. I didn't even pick up on that. And so we are told that the strangers now can manipulate the world.
Well, it's
I
like
guess.
reality, but it's some kind of world tuning machine that can change the world.
Yeah. And so I did kind of dig this effect where all the buildings were changing and stuff. And here Christopher Nolan actually got the idea for Inception from this.
Mhm.
So people are just ripping Dark City off left and right, but they're doing it right.
But I also feel like Dark City ripped off Star Wars with the Force.
Oh, sure. That a case could be made for that.
We also have Mr. Han. He's showing up to Dr. Schreiber, and he's swimming, and they chat, and they want to know what the fuck is going on with this Murdoch guy.
Why does he not sleep? Yes. When we tell him to sleep, yes. And Schreiber's like, I don't fucking know, dude. And I like how Schreiber's in a pool. And I thought immediately to myself, oh, they don't like fucking water. And this is the bit where, Mr. Han is like, we don't like it in this moisture area, you fucking dick. But yeah, they want answers.
Yeah, but he mentions that Murdoch, he woke up during the procedure, and that sometimes happens, and he has to do it again. They have to do the procedure again.
Right. Murdoch wanders a city trapped in eternal night, where no one seems to question the darkness. At midnight, he witnesses everyone fall asleep as the strangers use tuning to physically reshape the city. With help from Schreiber, they alter the citizens' memories by injecting fabricated identities and histories. Murdoch learns of a coastal town called Shell Beach that everyone remembers but no one can reach. He attempts to travel there but finds all paths blocked. The strangers inject his copied memories into Mr. Han to better predict Murdoch's actions. Bumstead finally apprehends Murdoch but begins doubting the city's reality and Murdoch's guilt. Together they confront Schreiber, who explains the horrifying truth. The strangers are extraterrestrials inhabiting dead human bodies, experimenting on the population to unlock the secrets of individuality. Murdoch, it turns out, never received his implanted identity. He woke up too early and became an anomaly. Murdoch, Bumstead, and Schreiber attempt to reach Shell Beach but find only a wall with a painted image. Breaking through, they discover the city is a habitat floating in space. The strangers arrive with Emma as hostage. During the confrontation, Bumstead and a stranger fall into space, confirming the artificial nature of their world.
So we have John and Emma. They are chatting with each other, but Bumstead, he shows up. And Murdoch, he tries to explain, but Emma says, run! And then this is where they flee down the stairs, and then we have Murdoch fabricating a door in the wall. So now we have Bumstead, and he goes and visits Walensky at his residence.
And we get right away that Walensky's wife is in all kinds of panic, and the Walensky character reminded me a lot of the John Hurt character from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where he was just kind of losing his mind.
Yeah.
But you get a little bit of narrative here as well, as Walensky's going into the conspiracy theory of it all, which actually is the truth. And Bumbledork wants to listen and wants to help him, but he just doesn't know how.
At what point does he reveal that they're all just batteries for the machines?
I think that is before they take the blue pill.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
So now we have Murdoch, and he's tailing Dr. Schreiber, and we see Dr. Schreiber enters through this secret door, and he's like, what the fuck? And he goes up. And then from there, we follow Schreiber down inside, and we see him doing his stupid weird little science experiments, where he's excited about, the merging of the different things.
A drop of teenage rebellion here. I mean, very mad scientist-y.
Yes.
Kind of giggly.
Yeah. I did like, however, them going down into the tunnels. I thought that was kind of a cool shot.
Oh,
But-
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it turns out it's time for tuning.
It is time.
And Mr. Book, the main Cenobite, says, "It's time, fuckers." And everyone starts chattering and chittering. And this is where we get a really good look on how the city is being reshaped. And at the same time, we get Kiefer Sutherland running into apartments like Santa and administering the brain juice.
Did you know that they used an oversized shot? They made a big injector so that when they did the close-ups, it would look just huge in the close-up scenes.
Yeah, an oversized syringe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like 5 feet.
Yeah, it's fucking insane, right?
So we, along with Murdoch, we get to watch this transformation happen. That what the hell is all this going on? They go from living in squalor to living in this regal mansion.
And I thought when those two people passed out into their soups, I thought they would die.
I thought so. The same thing. Wouldn't they drowned?
Yeah, but apparently they don't. They must go into some sort of suspended animation, maybe.
It's the same thing with putting the injections in their head. It drills into their head, yet there's no blood and there's no hole afterwards.
Oh, there was blood.
Was there?
Yeah.
Well, at least for Murdoch.
But yeah, they are essentially injecting these people with new memories,
Right.
changing the way they work.
The whole thing is they consider humans, rats in a maze, which they allude to earlier in the movie with showing a rat in a maze. But basically, that's all they are to these strangers.
Yeah, because they want to figure out what makes an individual an individual. And so
they're a
they're
group consciousnness.
and so they're clearly tapping the brain.
Yeah, they're looking for
Dumbasses.
really what they're looking for is for the soul, but they don't know where to find it. It's one of the things I like about this movie is the premise is if you were told and if you had memories implanted in your head that you are a murderer, would you go and kill? Would you keep killing? Or is there something more to you that would prevent you from becoming what your memories make you?
I don't know. I think it depends on what program they upload you with.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, he needed the martial arts. Is
who
what
knows?
John needed.
He needed the fucking acting module. He needed the martial arts module. This movie needed a lot of modules.
We get a brief shot where Murdoch, he confronts Schreiber and he wants to know what the fuck is going on. And he's like, we can't talk right now. And then we get Bumstead. He visits Emma as she's singing at the club. And then after that, then we get Mr. Han and he's announcing experiment locations. And he's talking about we're going to have a session at Street M. But they're like, there is no Street M. What do you mean there's no Street M? Well, it's because of the implant into John. It didn't go, and so that part didn't get completed. Motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, if you got one job, right? And at some point, when Emma and Bumblestead are talking, Bumblestead tells
Bumstead.
that dude
Dumbledore.
tells Emma, my mom gave me this accordion, but I can't remember when she gave it to me. And this kind of starts William Hurt's turn in,
Yep.
why can't I remember things that I should be able to remember?
Right.
But my problem with that is he asks the question and then he goes, oh, I don't know. We'll keep going on with fucking life.
Yeah, everybody seems to know, has been to Shell Beach or knows about Shell Beach, but nobody can remember it. It's like an ongoing thing of people having memories that don't seem to go anywhere.
So with the whole Street M kerfuffle, we have Mr. Book? Yes, we have Mr. Book. He shows up and he's like, all right, Mr. Hand, you're going to be injected with the memories of John so we can better know where he's at.
But we're also told every single stranger that has been injected with the memories has died.
Right.
So
yeah.
this
Because
is a death
there's
sentence for Mr. Hand.
There's protests to this plan because they're like, dudes, we can't fucking do this for the superior race. Why are we resulting to this?
Yeah.
And I like how Mr. Book is like, you know what? This is the only way Mr. Hand said it's going to work, and it'll work.
Yeah, Alex wanted us to kind of feel a little bit of sympathy for these villains. They're supposed to be tragic villains that that they are looking for something that they're never going to find, and that basically their race is dying out because of it.
Did you feel any sympathy for them?
Not really. I didn't really feel too much because they were treating people like, lab mice. But the idea of being so tragic that, this is the end of their race, and this group consciousness and powers, they probably sacrificed for the good of their race. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. My only thing is, in order for me to feel sympathy for them, they could have had a personality.
Well, that's what they were looking for.
They were fucking flat, and I had no sympathy for them because they abducted us humans.
I didn't either.
It's not that you're supposed to feel sympathy. It's just supposed to be that they are a tragic villain. That's what he called them.
Yeah, well.
So we have Mr. Haney shows up in May's place, and she's looking for John. He is looking for John. And so briefly, I'm thinking Emma could be in danger here, but turns out she's not. He's like, okay.
Well, they're at the river, right? Because Mr. Hand gets John's memories.
Yeah, he gets the idea that John is going to try to solve the mystery and get to each of these points. And by taking on John's memories that he was supposed to have, he'll be there when John, gets there, or he'll know where John's going.
After that, we have Murdoch, and he's on the subway. I'm going to fucking Shell Beach. I don't care what it takes.
And he looks at the maps, and he's got to catch the green line and the blue line and this, that, the other.
The Green Express line.
Yeah. And he's like, how do I get to Shell Beach? And everyone's all, you got to take the express.
I kept thinking this scene, you comment about all the Matrix stuff. The second Matrix movie when Neo gets caught down in the train station and all the trains keep going by and not stopping.
Oh, yeah.
And you have that Green Express that he's supposed to take to Shell Beach, and it doesn't stop.
No. And so he's like, where the fuck is Shell Beach, and how come I can't fucking get there? Right?
Yep. And with his frustration, he is suddenly confronted by Walensky.
I thought this was a great bit because Walensky actually sounds coherent.
Yeah.
And he is very much saying nothing is what you think it is. Your reality isn't what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this. And there's only one way to deal with it. And so he throws himself in front of the fucking train. So.
What the heck?
It's his only way out.
Yeah. Nobody offered him the red pill.
And then, so briefly, we get a shot. And there's a shot at the beginning of the movie where it shows the board in front of a theater. And the name of the movie is called The Evil.
Yeah.
And then we see right before the subway car takes the platform billboard away, there's a billboard that says The Evil. So I see The Evil 2 separate times. It's just like, huh.
Did you also see the Coming Attraction movie?
I didn't pay attention to it. I mean, I read it, but I didn't pay attention to it.
Well, I thought it was funny is that, they used The Evil, and then the Coming Attraction says Book of Dreams. So like this whole thing feels like a dream and a nightmare and evil. And
so Mr. Han, he's chatting with Emma. He's looking for John, and she doesn't know. And then after they part ways, Emma, she is drawn to this room with a red curtain. And for whatever reason, she is drawn to it, and she goes up the stairs.
And it turns out that this is May's apartment. And she walks in, and she sees May, and she's like, oh, fuck. And Bumblestead is there.
Well, before that, we see a visit of Mr. Hand goes and visits May. And with the other strangers. One of the things I always thought was kind of weird about this movie, and maybe it's the way the implants work, no one's ever fazed by how the strangers look. Did you notice that throughout this entire movie? It's like they're not surprised.
I noticed throughout this movie, nobody had any type of facial expressions.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, everybody's really deadpan.
But the thing that kind of I thought was creepy about the whole strangers visiting May was when they were done questioning her and they go to leave, Mr. Hand says, I'm going to stay behind for a sec and deal with May.
Right.
Because he's got those murderer implants in him, memories in him. And it's kind of like what I was saying earlier about if you have the memories of a murderer, will that turn you into a murderer? Well, for John, that didn't work. He's not, even though he thinks he could be a murderer, he's not going to go ahead and he didn't kill May when he was there. Mr. Hand, on the other hand, because he's now been implanted with the murderer's memories, he feels like he has to be forced to kill May.
And he does.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the meantime, John, he shows up to Neptune's kingdom and he breaks in and eventually he discovers Uncle Carl.
Who the fuck is Uncle Carl?
Did you catch when John was first escaping, when he left the bathtub and was escaping the apartment, he grabbed a suitcase, and on the suitcase were the initials KH.
I didn't notice that until he meets Uncle Carl and it flashes back to the suitcase.
Okay.
Yep.
And I went, oh, yeah, look, it's
Yep.
Uncle Carl.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where obviously he came from Uncle Carl's.
Yeah.
And then we see some slides of his childhood and he doesn't remember any of it. And it's like, wait, Shell Beach, it's your hometown. You don't remember that? How can you not remember that?
Okay, Unc, let me ask you this. How do you fucking get there? Oh, yeah,
My
Dick.
my brain's gone crackers.
yeah.
And he pulls out that book that's his drawings supposedly of Shell Beach, and it's blank pages at this point in the movie.
Yeah. And then John also notices in one of the photos that he has a burn on his left arm.
Right.
And he shows Carl, look, no fucking burn. What the fuck is going on? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
We flash back to Emma, and Emma, she is explaining to Bumstead why she is there at May's place. And she tells us that she is wanting to talk to May because John said that he was supposed to maybe kill her, but he resisted and he didn't kill her. And she wanted to find out maybe, do you know where John is? Because I can't find him.
yeah, they're all trying to find John. And Bumstead is like, okay, well, let's go fucking look for him, right?
And then we go back to John and he's like, what's happened to the day? I mean, what is going on? Why can't we remember it?
And when has anybody remembered when the sun came up? Because it's already, like you were saying earlier, it's already close to midnight again, and they never saw the sun.
Yeah. And it turns out that Uncle Carl totally sold John out,
He narcs.
and the strangers are coming for John.
In the meantime, we also hear it's time. Oh, we're back on midnight again.
Here we go again. And as John is escaping, he kind of gets cornered and he's like, oh, fuck, what am I going to do now? Can I pull out my Neo superpowers? No. A car pulls up to save him, and it's Bumstead and Emma.
Holy shit. Nice timing.
And so Bumstead, Emma save John, and they take off.
And he's taken to the police station.
Because why wouldn't he be?
I kept thinking, oh, here, they're rescuing him. No, he's still arresting him.
Yeah, absolutely. But Bumstead's not convinced that this is our guy.
He's starting to believe, John's story a bit.
I don't know if he's believing it, but he's not disbelieving it. How about that?
Yeah. He starts out with, he's pushing back and he says, you've heard of a place called Shell Beach? And then the next question, you remember doing something during the day?
And I'm not talking about years ago. I'm talking about last week, yesterday. And again, every time this question comes up, they're always kind of like, no, I can't. But hey, did you see the ball game the other day? That was a great fucking ball game. They never come to a conclusion with those conversations.
But John drives the point home when he elevates. He uses his telekinesis to elevate his memory book from Shell Beach,
which is now
filled with drawings.
Yeah. Explain this, motherfucker.
Next scene we have Emma and John, and they are talking at the little prison window on the phones.
What'd you think of this whole bit?
I was waiting for her to give him a little prison flash.
You would, buddy. You would. Again, this Rufus guy, I don't know if he's that great of an actor. So it was just kind of flat for me. And when he goes and touches the
partition glass,
tunes the window to break it, how are the guards not beating the shit out of him?
No kidding.
I thought the same thing.
And if I'm a tuner, why am I even in fucking handcuffs to begin with? Bitches should be serving me if I have that kind of power. God forbid I ever get anything close to that kind of power. So
God help us.
there you go.
So then we have the Matrix. They show up at the police station. Sleep now.
I thought of the Terminator. Anyone else?
Yes, totally. Totally, yeah. You know, when the police officer says, "How can we help you, sir?"
And they go in to find John.
Wouldn't you love to have that power? Whenever someone's annoying you, you just look over and go, sleep now.
Oh, again, don't give me any kind of fucking power, bud. It's not going to end well.
In the meantime, we have Bumstead. He's called into the chief's office, but he, for whatever reason, grabs the keychain off the wall while the Matrix guys are coming in.
He's got a sixth sense. And he's like, something ain't quite right. And so when the guys from the Matrix get there, the strangers, they say, we need to see the chief. And they go in to see the chief. And the chief's like, well, Bumstead's over here. Let's go talk to him.
And then they slit the chief's throat.
And then, voila. Bumstead, John, and Emma, they make the escape.
Next scene we have is Murdoch. He is confronting Schreiber, and he's at the pool. And I know, sure as shit, you know, Schreiber, he's going to spill the beans, and who's going to be right around the corner but Bumstead.
And Schreiber's like, dude, I have this new serum for you. I need you to inject it into your head. It's going to tell you everything you need to know. It's all of your memories. It's everything. And it's the truth. And Murdoch's like, no, fucker, I'm not going to fucking do it.
No fucking way.
Well,
but I'm going to hold on to it for you.
He's going to put it in his inside pocket.
So it can conveniently come back later. So,
and then Bumstead, you know, once the gun is drawn by Schreiber, Bumstead shows up around the corner and he's got a gun too. I'll just take that gun and bloop into the pool. Bumstead then says, let's go, doctor. Where are we going? To Shell Beach.
And they have to find a boat because they drive to the end of the pier.
There used to be a bridge here.
Huh. I can't remember what happened. And so they get into the boat, and this is where we kind of get Schreiber's backstory, or why he is the way he is.
Right. This enters the third act, and finally we, the audience, come up to speed about what the fuck is going on in Dark City.
So apparently, at some point, some aliens abducted a bunch of humans and brought them to this city for their science experiment. Okay, check. We've established that.
And they kept one human with his abilities, with his knowledge, but made him remove his own memories.
And I thought this bit during this flashback was pretty intense. We cut to Kiefer, who has to take his own memories, but he's all bloody like he had been through a bunch of different experiments. And all of these fucking Matrix guys are just watching him getting their jollies. But he has to inject himself in his head so he can complete the process. And now he is kind of like a double agent, right? He sold out the human race to survive, but they kind of fucked him. And so now he's going to sell them out by trying to give John the answers, which makes him the one that can stop all of this. See what I did there? And John's like, no, fuck. I don't trust a word you say. So there you go.
And you shouldn't.
Yeah, he ain't no Morpheus.
Amen. Well put, John.
So they finally get out of their boat. They climb the stairs and they find that big Shell Beach postcard on the wall. And they start tearing into it. And what do? Immediately, let's get the fuck out of here. And they start banging away on that wall.
So John can create shit with his head, has already created a door. I get that emotion triggers it, kind of like the X-Men. But at this point, you are what you think is Shell Beach right behind this wall. Why wouldn't you use your fucking powers?
Well,
I don't know.
He eventually does, though.
No, but not here.
Not until he has his training, his memory juice training.
No, it's his mind. It's his telekinesis that finally breaks through the brick.
I thought it was their pipes.
The pipes only got so far.
Huh.
So he must busted more with his mind.
Yep.
Well, there you go. Either way, while they're busting through this wall, the strangers show up And, William Hurt has to have a hero's death. And so they bust open the wall. They find out they're in outer space. And they must have some sort of force field or something because they just didn't get blown right out of the airlock.
That was the thing, is originally when they made this movie, they didn't show a force field. And people test audiences questioned, why aren't they just being sucked off the planet?
Sure.
And so they had to add that in to explain that.
And Bumbledork, he sacrifices himself in hopes to help, but him and the other stranger die.
I don't know if he sacrifices it. It looked like that he fell backwards, but he took somebody with him.
Oh, well, there you go. That's probably a better way of saying it. Yeah.
And so now you know the truth. Yes, we are out in space. And yeah, I'm not that surprised that somebody had to die. One of the protagonists, they needed to die.
And at some point, it was also revealed, besides the fact that they don't like water, they also don't like light. And so that's why the city's always dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Like vampires. This movie cannot make up its fucking mind.
So they're Cenobite vampires with
machines. What are they called? The Sentinels.
And so they threatened to kill Emma, and you better surrender now. And so finally they get him to sleep.
It takes him twice, though.
Yes.
Stubborn fuck. It's like when the kids were little. Go to fucking sleep, man. The strangers capture Murdoch and order Schreiber to imprint him with their collective memory, believing he is the key to saving their species. Instead, Schreiber injects Murdoch with decades' worth of training and knowledge about the strangers and tuning. Murdoch awakens with a full mastery of his powers. He escapes captivity and confronts the strangers in a dramatic aerial battle, ultimately defeating their leader, Mr. Book. Schreiber informs Murdoch that Emma has been re-imprinted and no longer remembers him. Using the stranger's machine, Murdoch reshapes the city, creating Shell Beach and orientating the habitat toward a nearby star, bringing daylight to the world for the first time. As he steps outside to witness the sunrise, Murdoch sees Anna, the woman who was once Emma, standing on a pier. Though her memories are new, they begin their relationship anew and walk toward Shell Beach together, with hope and sunlight at last. Roll credits. All right, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here.
They take him to the arena, and then you get the little kid. Kill him! Kill him!
Creepy little fuck.
Yes.
And, yeah, kind of disturbing. And they string him up or spread him out, and they're telling Schreiber, okay, you are going to take all of our consciousness, you're going to plug it into John's head, and that is going to unlock their search for the soul. But Schreiber has other plans.
Yeah, because conveniently, he just can reach into the jacket pocket and pull out that other syringe.
Yeah, which I saw coming. Did you see it coming?
I wasn't surprised when I saw it. And I frankly, I was more surprised the fact that he was willing to do this double cross, because what's going to be the outcome if John ends up being successful? I get it. I guess he wants out. He's tired of serving these aliens,
kind of like Cypher. And he injects John. And what did you guys think of this whole training bit? His whole in his mind, where Kiefer Sutherland kind of injected himself into these thoughts and kind of gave him the training, if you will, throughout different parts of his life.
If any scene screamed Matrix more, it was this scene, because I felt like all they were doing was plugging him in and saying, okay, now you can fly a chopper. Okay, now you can do this. And basically, they were just fast tracking his programming.
But I thought it was a clever way of inserting Kiefer to kind of explain to him what was going on, while giving him all these memories at the same time.
And basically giving him a lifetime of dojo training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took it as part of, like Kal-El, with Superman. I took it partly as that. And then there was also a episode Star Trek The Next Generation, where an entire generation of people that have long since become extinct have been smashed into Captain Picard's head, and he is now the sole bearer of this entire species of people that have long been extinct, and now he knows about them, and he's able to share with the rest of the world on who these people were.
Yeah, he lives a lifetime in 7 minutes or something like that. And he learned to play the flute.
Nerds.
It was a great episode.
It was.
What did you think of this final battle?
The ultimate telekinetic duel.
Oh my God.
It didn't seem like, for me, it wasn't that dramatic because it doesn't seem like John was really losing at any point.
No, he
was
wasn't.
really kicking the guys, all of their asses.
It looked like he was constipated, first of all. And then we have that little silly squiggly line coming out, and they're trading force powers back and forth. And then finally, Mr. Book, who comes from a race of aliens that can move shit with their mind and change shit with their mind, resorts to a fucking knife? What the fuck is that about?
Whatever.
And so he throws the knife, and then you have to have the bit, we'll call it the Harry Potter moment, where the good force is coming and the bad force is coming, and it meets in the middle, and you got that struggle, and finally John wins, and it was it reminded me so much of the scene where Neo finally realizes he's the one, and they all shoot at him, and he stops the bullets with his hands. Same vibe. Same fucking vibe.
Mm-hmm. So after Mr. Book is defeated, John, he wants Emma back. And Schreiber's like, sorry, dude. She's been imprinted again.
Can you imagine going to bed, waking up someone else?
Well, the thing that made me think during that scene was it's Dr. Schreiber that does all the implanting to the people. So he basically implanted Emma into becoming Anna. So kind of a dick move.
Well, he created the serum.
You think they're going around doing the shots?
Yeah,
I thought he was the one that was going around and giving everybody the shots.
Well, he was, but for Anna, Bruce Spence, I think, is at her apartment.
Oh.
They were all set to
when
kill
it's cleared
her.
out.
But then we might need her still.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. So I took it as Bruce Spence, his group probably had done that.
Right. And so
now he says, I'm going to fix things. And he gets the ocean going, right? And he starts world changing.
I was thinking to myself, if you go fishing in that ocean and you drop your line too far, isn't it just going to go into space?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I kind of thought Truman Show for fucking sure.
Yes.
My thought was we see all around the outside of the spaceship thing, all the water leaking out to create the ocean effect. And I'm thinking, is that all their drinking water and bathroom water and sink water? Is he just getting rid of their water supply?
No, he is creating new water because he is now, for the lack of a better term, a god.
Yes.
So
yes, he is.
I thought for sure that a sphere or a planet was going to morph around it. But it didn't.
Well, it just goes to prove that the world's really flat.
Well played, sir.
Yes, I'm sure the flat earthers loved this movie.
Yes. And so he makes a door, opens it to a pier.
Which, again, this has bothered me, is he creates that door. All this creation's going on. He creates a door, opens up the door, goes out, and she's already there.
Convenient.
How does she get there before him?
They do show her leaving and Uncle Carl leaving.
Right.
So we can assume
she leaves the movie theater. She gets on the Shell Beach bus.
But it wasn't created until I thought,
maybe it was
the door and walked through.
Maybe it was going at the same time.
Okay.
Maybe he stopped time and created it and then started time again. Who knows? Again, this guy can do whatever the fuck he wants.
And he
even flies.
He also turns the whole ship so that it looks like the sun comes up and she gets to see a sunrise.
And he gets to see a sunrise, right? Because they just mentioned that they never get to see the sun. And so they have a little talk and he says, where are you going? She says, where are you going? And he says, I'm going to Shell Beach. And she says, well, hey, I'm going to the same place. Maybe we can go together. And they walk off into the sunset. Happily ever after.
And what you didn't see in the director's cut is right when they got around the corner, he went, Sleep now.
Whoa, that's dark, dude. I mean, this is Dark City, but that's really fucking dark.
So before this all happens, we do get a brief conversation. Mr. Han, he shows up. He's alive. What?
It was like that. Now that they know that John is the most powerful, they can't really do anything to combat him. And
Well, he pretty much killed most of the strangers.
yeah, but there's still some out there.
I assumed that pretty much Mr. Hand was it, and he's dying. He
Oh.
basically says, "I'm dying, John."
Oh yeah, and then he opens the door and he gets to see the light. Vampire, you know. So, and another thing that occurred to me while I was watching it with these rules for the strangers, they don't like water and they don't like light. Next thing you're going to tell me is you can't feed them after midnight. So there you go.
Maybe that's how they replicate or reproduce.
There they go. Maybe they go find themselves a fuck toy.
That is rude and offensive.
And that was Dark City. All right, what do you guys think? You guys ready to rate this flick?
I'm ready to rate this flick. How about you, John? Are you ready to rate this flick?
No memory implants needed. I'm ready to fuck this up all on my own.
Hey, Professor, how do we do our ratings?
We do our ratings on a scale of 1 to 5 fucks. 5 fucks is a movie that we think is cinematic gold. And a 1 fuck movie, that's where you get done watching it and you're thinking to yourself, I'm never watching this again.
And what's a 0?
A 0 fuck movie is where you get done watching it, you turn to your buddy and you're like, oh, for shit's sake, what the hell? Why would you make me? I want 1 hour and 40 minutes of my life back.
Or in other words, we just don't give a fuck. All right, my movie, I suppose I will go first.
Fuck yeah.
You go first.
Thanks, buddy.
Review it now.
Review it, yes. Dark City, at its core, I thought had a really good idea. I don't know which came first, this or the Matrix, but I personally feel like somebody ripped somebody off, but those are just my own feelings. And for me, with Dark City, the graphics kind of look dated. The soundtrack didn't really do it for me. Our protagonist, John Murdoch, kind of fell flat. I like the idea of the strangers, and I like the idea of the movie. I just don't know how well it got executed. And so it's one of those things where the Matrix did it better. And, you know, I don't fault Dark City for that. I fault the financiers who didn't give them enough money. But overall, Dark City was decent. It wasn't what I expected. And yeah, I am giving Dark City 2.75 fucks.
Okay.
Who wants to go next?
I do.
Go next, yes.
Dark City, first time I've seen it. And in watching it for the first time, I was kind of crestfallen because, as it was stated oh so plainly throughout this pod, it's reminiscent of shit that I've already seen and it felt like it's been there, done that. And unfortunately, that was my experience. And it tainted the movie for me. The movie has a very stylish noir look to it, which was its strongest selling point, because it definitely wasn't the acting and the story, the whole first act. You know, I am just completely awash with where the hell is this story going? And you know what? I really couldn't care less about John Murdoch's situation because there was very little reason for me to root for him. The supporting cast, the only person that I thought really brought it was William Hurt. His character was good. And his acting was very good in this. And I enjoyed having him when he was on the screen because I thought that he was bringing his acting chops. Other than that, the movie, for the most part, it's just oh-hum. It's a stylish science fiction, thriller. And I think that the movie really gets going in the third act when we finally get some answers. And then we get to watch the movie reach its apex conclusion. But after the movie is over with, I'm thinking, so what do you suppose it's going to be like there, like 2-3 years from now? What about overpopulationism, right? people are they going to start, having kids? And what's going to happen when John, he starts getting bored with stuff and he starts being, a little too drunken with power. And the next thing you know, he's just mixing shit up because he can do whatever he wants. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I'm thinking that, this probably was a good place for the movie to stop because it's going to get dark after this in a different way. In the end, I think that this movie is okay. It's not going to be my favorite. And I'm thinking probably, 3 fucks.
3 fucks from the professor. Speaking of dark, hey, why don't you go next, buddy?
Before I do, Don, would you like to put my score in my head?
You are going to give Dark City 3.75 fucks.
Final answer?
Final answer, yes. Review now.
Dark City pulls you in with its noir-drenched murder mystery, then flips the table with a bold sci-fi twist. The fast-cut editing keeps you tense without knowing why, and it's easy to see how it's influenced films like The Matrix and 12 Monkeys. Rufus, Jennifer, and William, they all deliver solid performances, but definitely not career best performances. Kiefer Sutherland's quirky doctor feels stiff and overacted, more like a concept than a character. But Richard O'Brien, for me, steals every scene he's in as the eerie Mr. Hand. It's a thinker with a satisfying payoff. If the idea of a movie like The Maltese Falcon or Touch of Evil taking place inside the Matrix sounds appealing to you, Dark City should be on your list. It's definitely worth a watch and probably a second one just to make sense of everything you just saw. I'd also recommend, as I said earlier, the director's cut version if you want to maintain at least some mystery. Of course, now that you've gotten to the end of the podcast episode, you know everything, but I kind of like the buildup of them finding the answers rather than throwing them out all right in the beginning. So it's for those reasons I'm giving Dark City 3.75 fucks.
Fucking nailed it. Love it. With 3.75 fucks from the comic book guy, 3 fucks from the professor, and 2.75 fucks from yours truly. That gives Dark City an average of 3.2 fucks, which now ties it in the 23rd spot with Ratatouille, Galaxy Quest, Red Dawn, Last Samurai, Starship Troopers, and Bloodsport. It is slightly better than Far and Away and Catch Me If You Can, and slightly worse than RoboCop, Roadhouse, Grandma's Boy, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, The Campaign, Chef, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and Dr. Sleep.
That sounds about right.
All right, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of Three Guys in a Flick. If you would like to know which movie we're going to be reviewing next, please check out the website. Speaking of which, hey, John, where can they find us?
They can find us at www.threeguysinaflick.com, where we go ahead and post all of our show notes. You can find all of our podcasts. And when I can get it freaking working, we have a web form on there that you can submit a movie you would like to go in the helmet and have us review down the road. You can also find us at all of social media, where I've actually started posting on Tuesdays what movie we will be releasing that following Thursday. So check out X and check out Facebook. You can also find us at every place that hosts podcasts, where you can go ahead and leave us a comment. We'd love for you to subscribe, give us a rating. Of course, got to be a 5. And you can leave in the comments a movie you would like us to review.
All right. I just want to thank Ben C. again for suggesting this. We had fun watching it and reviewing it. We hope you had fun listening to it. I also want to thank anyone else who listens and who has suggested a movie. If you keep listening, we'll keep recording. For Three Guys in a Flick, I'm Don.
I'm John.
And I'm Ken. Thanks for listening.
Sleep now.
3 guys with some mics, yeah, dive into the flicks. We're here for the real talk, no time for the tricks. Don as the captain, steering us right. Kid drops, now they're shedding light. John with the comics, bringing the hype. From the good, the bad, to the absurd, we break it down, make sure you're heard. Passion for the screen, we ride or die about movies. You know we always give a fuck, no lie.
Yeah.
What's my name?
Yeah, you don't seem to know jack shit.
There was only one thing missing from John Murdoch's dialogue. I just wish I knew what I was supposed to do.
As ready as any guy waking up in a bathtub with amnesia and a murder rap.
That's the quote that I think you should use for it.
He just used it.
I just used it. Right. Had you seen this before? Oh, this was your pick there, comic book guy? No, this was my pick.
Where have you been?
You don't even know what's going on. Did somebody blank your memory?
They might have.
Clearly.
Who am I?
I had to think for a sec.
No, you didn't. You looked it down. You didn't think about
Well,
there was too much coincidence for me as a movie watcher. But well, who knows? Maybe I'm overthinking it like this guy does all the time.
Well, I guess they also got some stuff from the Crow set.
Mhm.
Not Brandon Lee.
Oh, that was dark.
Very dark.
Too soon?
All right, boys. Now, this might be too easy, but we'll see what we all got. Professor goes first.
Dark Clitty.
Dark Clitty?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I had. And
That's low
3 for 3. I had that.
and okay, how about this one? Dark Titty.
I had Dark Titties. I had Dicked City.
I have Dump City.
And I have Deep Shitty.
How about Cunts Titty?
Of course, we haven't finished the show yet.
Don just blew his wad too soon.
Yeah, you fuck. Sorry about the mess, guys. All right, what do you guys got? If you keep listening, we'll keep recording. Fourth.
Where are they going to find us, Don?
Wow. Wow. All right, may all of your days and nights be filled with happiness. All right, fuck up. Good night.
Catch the vibe as 3 guys in a fight, keep the passion alive. Fuck